Are you the dad that your kids run to or the dad that your kids hide from? There are two versions of both of these dads. In the first version, kids sprint toward a dad the second something happens, whether it's good news or bad news, a scraped knee, or something funny that happened at school. They just come running no matter what happened. And then there's another version, the dad who loves his kids just as much, but somehow ended up as a parent that your kids avoid and go around. The one that they don't tell things to, the one that they hesitate before approaching, the one that they only show up to when they need something specific. Here's what I want you to know about that second version. It's not about love, and it's not about personality. It's about a set of small daily patterns that most dads never realize they're building. And today I'm going to show you exactly what those patterns are and how to change them before they become permanent. Kids don't decide which parent to go to based on who loves them more. They decided that based on what they've learned to expect from each parent. And that expectation gets built quietly and gradually through thousands of small micro interactions over years. The good news is expectations can be rebuilt the same way that they were built in the first place, one interaction at a time. And let's look at exactly what separates these two versions of dads. Before we get into the specific behaviors, here's something worth understanding. Psychologists have studied this for decades, and what they found is actually reassuring. Kids are neurologically wired from birth to attach to caregivers. It's not a personality preference, it's an evolutionary survival mechanism. When kids act out with one parent but they behave perfectly for everyone else, it's not a sign that they don't feel safe with that parent, it's actually a sign that they do. Kids reserve their worst behavior for the people that they feel the most secure around because they know that that parent isn't going anywhere. I actually made a video about this topic a few weeks ago, and if you're interested in that one, I'll leave a link in the description. You can go check that one out. So if your kids push back with you more than anyone else, it's not the problem. The real question is whether they bring you the good stuff, the excitement, the fear, the things that actually matter to them, because that's what tells which version of the dad you've become. So let's look at the specific behaviors because this isn't a far-fetched idea. These are real patterns that show up in real homes every single day. And most dads who are in the second camp have no idea that they're there. The dad kids avoid isn't usually a bad dad. He's usually a dad who's accidentally trained his kids that coming to him costs something. Here's what dads training their kids look like in practice. The first pattern is leading with correction. Your kid comes to you with something, whether it's a problem or a mistake or something that went wrong. And before they finish talking, you're already come up with a solution. You're in correction mode or lecture mode. You say things like, here's what you should have done, or I told you that was going to happen, or what did you think? That was a good idea? None of those responses are cruel, and none of them are wrong by themselves, but here's what your kid learns after enough of them. Coming to dad with a problem means getting a verdict, not support. And kids stop bringing you problems when the cost of bringing them feels higher than the benefit of getting the help. The second pattern is emotionally unavailable at the wrong moments. Your kid comes home with something exciting and you're tired or distracted or on the phone and thinking about work, and your response is half there. That's great, buddy, without even looking up. Or tell me later, when later never really comes. One of those moments doesn't really change anything, but 50 of them across years builds a belief in your kid that my excitement doesn't matter to dad, so why bring it? They bring it to mom, they bring it to a friend, or anybody else who will actually stop what they're doing to listen. The third pattern is unpredictable reactions. This one is the one that does the most damage quietly. Because when kids can't predict how a parent is going to respond, they're calm one day and frustrated the next over the same kind of a situation, they start risk assessing every interaction. Is today a good day to talk to dad? Is he in a good mood? Should I wait or should I just not say something? That calculation, that consistent checking of emotional temperature before approaching dad, is the clearest sign that a kid has learned to navigate around a parent instead of moving toward them. And once that habit forms, it's hard to undo because the kids stopped testing the temperature, not because things got better, but because they stopped expecting things to be different. Now, Here's what the other version looks like. And I want to be specific. Being present is not a strategy. What actually builds the kind of relationship where kids run to you, that's something very specific. The first thing is making it a safe place to bring you bad news. This is the most important one on the list, and it's the hardest to build because it goes against every instinct that a dad has. When something goes wrong, your instinct is to fix it and prevent it from happening next time. But what your kids need first, before the fix, before the lesson, is to feel like coming to you was the right call. That means the first response is curiosity, not correction. Tell me what happened. What are you feeling about it? What do you need right now? The lesson can come later and the fix can come later. But if the first thing that they feel when they come to you is judgment, they're not going to come back. If the first thing that they feel is that you were on their side, they will come back every single time. The second thing is matching their energy when it's positive. This sounds small, but it's not small. When your kid comes home about something that's exciting, put the phone down. Turn toward them, match the energy with what they walked in with. Ask a follow up question about the things that they care about, not because you find it interesting, but because the message that it sends is that you're more interested in them than whatever else you were doing. That message delivered consistently is what builds the dad kids sprint toward with good news because they've learned. Dad actually wants to hear it. The third thing is being predictable. Not perfect, just predictable. Your kids don't need you to be in a great mood every day. They need to know what to expect from you when they show up. A dad who is consistently calm, even when he's tired, even when he's stressed, is a dad that kids feel safe approaching. Or any parent for that matter, because they don't have to check their temperature first. They already know what they're going to get. And that safety, that predictability, is what keeps the door open for every important conversation that's coming up as your kids get older. So let me tell you what I noticed in my own house when I saw this happening. There was a stretch of time when my boys were growing up, and I realized certain conversations weren't coming to me anymore. Not the logistics, those ones were coming to me, like, what do I do now, or how do I do that? But the real stuff, what was bothering them, what they were excited about, what they were worried about, that was going someplace else. And when I actually looked at why, it wasn't because I didn't love them anymore. It was because I had been leading with correction for so long that bringing me something vulnerable felt risky to them because they didn't know how I was going to react. It was the verdict dad, not the safe dad. And I didn't know it until I started paying attention to what wasn't coming to me. That's the thing about being the dad that kids hide from because you don't notice the things that are said. You notice it in the absence of things that aren't said, the conversations that didn't happen, the news that you hear from somebody else, or the problems that you find out afterwards that have already been handled. Once I saw it, I started changing my first response, and that was curiosity before correction every time. It didn't flip overnight, but it did flip, and the conversation started to come back to me. So, which version of dad are you right now? And I want to be careful about how I ask that because the answer isn't fixed. How you are right now isn't how you're going to be in the future. And every dad has been both versions of this at different points. The question isn't which one you've been, it's which one that you're building toward right now. Because your kids are updating their expectations every single day. With every interaction, it either reinforces a pattern or starts to change it. The dad that they run to isn't built all in one big moment. He's built in all small little ones over time. And one day your kid comes to you with something real because they could have taken it anywhere, but they chose you. That's what you're building toward, and it starts with the next interaction that you have with them. So, drop a comment below. Which one of these patterns hit closest to home for you? Was it the corrective instinct, the distracted response, or the unpredictable reaction? Because I think most dads have at least one of them in their life, and there's real value in identifying which one it is so you can change it. Because life isn't hacked, it's built. And I'll see you in the next one.